Hello there, welcome to unit number 3 from the intermediate level number 13. So in this unit you will learn to, number 1, ask for a favor, and number 2, make indirect requests. So it's important to mention that both of these topics involve making requests, asking for favors, but what is going to be different is the way you ask, the people you ask. We'll get into more detail right now. So let's jump into the first lesson. So as you can see here in this first section, making requests, like I told you, you make a request to a different person, to the person you want to ask for a favor. Okay. So imagine for these examples, me, okay, I'm going to make a request to a different person. Let's imagine John. Okay, so we have me and we have John. I am going to ask for a favor to John, directly to John. Okay, so in this case I have some examples of requests or favors, and they go from really simple ways using can or could or is it okay if, to a little bit longer expressions. Do you mind if? Would it be alright if? Would you mind if? Would you mind? I was wondering if. Okay, so let's begin with the 3 shortest and simplest ways to make a request, and that would be can, could, and is it okay if. Can, puedo. Could, podría. Is it okay if? Está bien si. Okay. So, the first one, can I borrow your phone? ¿Puedo yo tomar prestado tu celular? Number 2, could, podría. Could you lend me your computer? Okay, ¿podrías tú prestarme tu computadora? Okay, so it's important here to mention the difference between borrow and lend. As you can see, borrow and lend are basically the same idea as in Spanish, prestar. Now, the difference is that when you say, can I borrow, it refers this action goes to you. Can I borrow? ¿Puedo yo tomar prestado? El efecto va hacia ti, que tú lo vas a tomar prestado. But when you have, could you lend me, you refer that que si alguien más puede tomar la acción de prestar a ti un objeto. Okay, so that's the difference. Borrow, que tú lo tomes prestado. Lend me es que alguien lo haga por ti, que alguien te preste a ti. Okay, so that's the difference. Obviously, borrow will be combined with I, and lend me will be combined with you. Okay, but anyway, returning to the requests, can and could. Puedo o podría o podrías. Okay, can I borrow your phone? Could you lend me your computer? Then we go to the third expression, is it okay if? Está bien si. Okay, is it okay if I use your camera for tomorrow's party? Está bien si uso tu cámara para la fiesta de mañana? Okay, is it okay if? Next one. Do you mind if? Do you mind if I use your car to pick up my grandma? Do you mind if I use your car to pick up my grandma? Okay, do you mind if? ¿Te molesta si? Do you mind if? Okay. Then we have, would it be alright if? Would it be alright if I checked my email on your computer? Would it be alright if? Estaría bien si. Okay. So, would it be alright if I checked my email on your computer? Okay. Estaría bien si yo checo mi correo en tu computadora. Now, it's important, as you can see, I've underlined the key changes for the following expressions and questions. Okay. As you can see, when we have the modal would, so we have the modal would here, okay, and here also for would it be alright if and would you mind if. As you can see, the action changes to the past. I checked, I went, and in the rest, all of them stay in the base form, in the present. Borrow, lend, use, use. But because we have if represents a condition, and in this case we're using would, which represents the second conditional, then we're going to remember that based on the second conditional rules, we have to use the action in the simple past. So checked and went. Okay, it's important that for these two, every time you have if and you have would, we're going to be using the action in the past. Now you might ask yourself, well, in the next one says would, but as you can see, we don't have a condition, we don't have if. We're going to use a different example with ings. Okay, so let's continue with these four, which are the next expressions. Do you mind if? ¿Te molesta si? Would it be alright if? ¿Estaría bien si? Would you mind if? ¿Te molestaría si? Okay, so I put an asterisk next to these because they sound very similar. Do you mind if? ¿Te molesta si? Would you mind if? ¿Te molestaría si? Okay, so in this case, well, the difference is that we have a do, an auxiliary do, and then we have the modal would. That's the first difference. The second one is because we're using a conditional statement, conditional question in this case, we're going to use the verb with went in the simple past. The same goes with the previous one. Would it be alright if? Because we have would as the model and we have if as a condition, and we also have it in the simple past. Okay, so anyway, be careful if you're going to use do you mind if and would you mind if, because if you say do you mind if, you use the action in the present. If you're going to say would you mind if, remember to change your action to the simple past. Okay, so imagine you say, do you mind if I use your car to pick up my grandma? Imagine you want to say would you mind, so here you say, would you mind if I used your car to pick up my grandma? And the same goes for this one. Would you mind if I went home for today? I don't feel very well. I don't feel very well. But you want to use do, so do you mind if I go home for today? I don't feel well. So remember, if I use do, then this would be go. If I used do for this one, use, it would be used, and went would be go. Okay, so let's continue with the next expressions. And let's go to the final one. I was wondering if. So I was wondering if I could take some days for vacation. Okay, I was wondering if. Estaba pensando si. Okay, so I was wondering if I could take some days for vacation. As you can see, all of them are questions, 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 questions. But here we have a statement. So it's not a question, it's more like a statement. But again, it's the same idea. You're asking for a request. Okay, I was wondering if. Estaba pensando si podría tomar algunos días de vacaciones. Okay, I was wondering if I could take some days for vacation. Okay, so here we have the most common ways to make requests. Okay, remember that every time you have the modal would and a condition with if, use the simple past. All right, so let's continue with the second part, and the second part has to do with making indirect requests. Okay, so this is what I was referring to at the beginning of the lesson. We have ways to make request by asking to a person, and then this person will deliver the message to someone else, to the person you want to deliver the message to. So imagine we have a statement, and the statement says, Tim, the meeting is at 9. So this information, you want to give this information to whom? To to Tim. Okay, so you want to give the information to Tim that the meeting is at 9. Now, because you cannot talk to Tim, or you cannot reach Tim, or you don't know where Tim is, or you have any kind of situation that you're not able to ask for the request directly to Tim, then you are going to have to give this information to a different person. So in this case, we don't involve person A and person B. We involve person A, person B, and person C, where person A is you. Okay? Person B is a friend or someone that is going to help you make the request, and person C is the final person. Okay? In this case, person C would be Tim. Okay? So imagine Tim, I want to give this information to Tim, but I don't have access to Tim. I don't know where he is, or I cannot reach him. So I'm going to ask person B. So imagine person B is Max. Okay? So Max, I am going to have to give the information to Max, and then Max is going to give the information to Tim. Okay? So instead of saying Tim, the meeting is at 9, I am going to ask a different person, such as Max in this case. Could you tell Tim that the meeting is at 9, please? Right? So I could say something like that. Max, hi, good morning, Max. I'm sorry. Could you tell Tim that the meeting is at 9? Okay? And as you can see, we have the type of requests and how you're going to make them to a second person, because it is going to be an indirect request. Okay, so remember, when we have statements, they're going to be introduced by that. So you can see we have that. When we have an imperative, right, such as don't be late or arrive on time, it's important that we're going to use infinitives, not to, right, because it is negative, or to if it is positive. If we have yes or no questions, they're going to be introduced by if or whether. Okay. And finally, if the request involves a question, like where's my phone? When do you go on vacation? Then it's going to be introduced by a question word, right? In this case, where, right? Where's my phone? Where? When? When? So let's get into more detail for each one. For imperatives such as Stephen, don't be late, you would say, can you tell Stephen not to be late? Again, we could use can or could, remember. And in this case, we're going to be using the infinitive. In this case, don't be late, not to. Arrive on time, to arrive on time. Okay? So see how it changes. Don't be late, not to be late, arrive on time, to arrive on time, right? Infinitives. So instead of asking directly or telling directly to Stephen, Stephen, don't be late. Stephen, no llegues tarde. Stephen, arrive on time. Stephen, llega a tiempo. You would say something like to a different person, can you tell Stephen not to be late? ¿Le puedes decir a Stephen que no llegue tarde? Stephen, arrive on time. Stephen, llega a tiempo. Can you tell Stephen to arrive on time? ¿Le puedes decir a Stephen que llegue a tiempo? Okay, so that's for imperatives. Yes or no questions. Sarah, are you free tomorrow? Sarah, ¿estás disponible mañana? You're going to introduce, or you're going to make this request introduced by if or whether. I recommend you use if. It's much shorter. So you would make a question such as, can you ask Sarah if she's free tomorrow? Okay. So, ¿le puedes preguntar a Sara si está disponible mañana? Or Jane, do you have the report? Jane, ¿tienes el reporte? Indirectamente a otra persona sería, could you ask Jane if she has the report? ¿Le puedes preguntar a Jane si tiene el reporte? Okay, again, yes or no question introduced by if. Finally, we have information questions. Mark, where's my phone? Mark, ¿dónde está mi teléfono? Introduced by a question word, in this case, where. ¿Le puedes preguntar a Mark dónde está mi teléfono? Number 2, Joe, when do you go on vacation? Joe, ¿cuándo te vas de vacaciones? Could you ask Joe when he goes on vacation? ¿Podrías preguntarle a Joe cuándo se va de vacaciones? Okay, so as you can see, when we have a question, we have where, and then we have the auxiliary is or do. So if it is, the auxiliary or the verb be is going to go at the end. If you have the auxiliary do with a verb, then it will disappear. So you have when, and then do, you don't see it here, right? So we're going to get rid of the auxiliary, in this case for do. We're going to have the question word, and then just like a statement, when he goes on vacation. You don't need to make it into a question, like could you ask Joe when does he go on vacation? No, when he goes on vacation, like a statement. Okay, where my phone is. Okay, so this is the information for making indirect requests. Okay, so this is the end of the first lesson, and I will see you for the second one. Have a nice day.